All right, so first I'm just going to talk about the Chargers team in general and why I think this team has just been really overrated and super hyped up in the media. If you watch typical NFL news, you would think the Chargers are just a way better team than the Raiders, that the Raiders are such an underdog coming into this game. But if you are just anybody who just looks at the numbers and watches the games, you'll see that the Chargers have the same record as the Raiders. So how exactly are the Raiders such an underdog when the Chargers have the same record as them? They've lost just as many games as them, and they have played easier teams, in my opinion. They played the Texans. The Raiders haven't really played a team as bad as the Texans. The closest team that comes to it is the Giants. I would not put the Giants on that same low level as the Texans. I still think they're a better team. They have better weapons in general. So it is really shocking that the Chargers managed to lose to the Texans. Another thing I want to get into is also just the lineup of this defense in general. I think this defense outside of Derwin James and Joey Bosa is severely limited. If you watch most of their games, you can catch Kenneth Murray, the linebacker, making a mistake. He loves to make mistakes on a regular basis, and I think the Chargers are hating themselves for ever getting rid of Pro Bowler Denzel Perryman. I think they're definitely regretting that decision now that they're left with Kazir White and Kenneth Murray. These guys, not that impressive at all. Secondary, Michael Davis struggling too. I don't think he is as good as Casey Hayward. I think the Chargers made another mistake, not extending Casey Hayward, electing to go with Michael Davis, and Chris Harris Jr. has returned to the lineup, but he has not looked hot since returning. This defensive line, outside of Linval Joseph, stopping the run game, I really am not impressed with any defensive lineman besides Joey Bosa, and I think it's very clear. Nwosu, I was impressed by him last year. However, I think this Chargers team is missing Melvin Ingram, and you've seen Melvin Ingram come in and do pretty well for both the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't think Nwosu is as great of a replacement as a lot of people believed initially. So I do anticipate the Raiders will be able to run the ball against this team. Look, the numbers are clear. It's so crazy to me to see TV analysts try to say this Chargers defense is really good aside from the numbers, yet week after week trash the Raiders based on certain numbers, based on certain stats. Trash the Raiders offense, trash the O-line's PFF grade, stuff like that, right? But hey, I'm gonna give some credit to the Chargers. Okay, they do have a good offensive line. The offensive line struggled mid-year, and that's when you saw Justin Herbert also struggle. We know Rashawn Slater has done well this year, besides the little bit of the struggles that happened for the whole entire offensive line mid-year. But they have been able to protect Herbert for the most part. I still think they lack in the run game. However, this team's going to pass first, just like the Raiders. The Raiders are also in a situation where, aside from the Broncos game, they are really a pass-first team, and you haven't seen it work out too well running the ball until as of late for the Raiders. But for the Chargers, it's been a problem all year long. And that's the thing. When you're rolling with Austin Eckler, when you're rolling with Jackson, look, you're primarily going to be a pass-first team. Eckler was never Melvin Gordon. He was the type of guy who's going to be a receiving running back, and that's exactly what they've chosen to do. So I do still think, hey, Herbert, good quarterback, especially for a young guy who's still with acne problems, good quarterback. But, Mike Williams, one-dimensional type of receiver, big body receiver, has no speed. Keenan Allen, versatile receiver, not that much speed, but still secure target. Don't even know if he's as good as Hunter Renfrow at this point, though. If you look at some of the numbers, Keenan Allen is kind of behind Renfrow despite being in the Pro Bowl. So you see Keenan Allen here only has 6 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Hunter Renfrow, our guy, has 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns, 99 receptions, 1,025 yards. Keenan Allen, 1,086 yards, 100 receptions, more targets than Renfrow, 6 TDs. So he's a TD behind him, has barely, I guess you would say, 60 more yards in him, despite having a ton of more targets. And he also has way more drops than Renfrow. Keenan Allen does. Keenan Allen has 8 drops on the year. Hunter Renfrow only has 2 drops this year. So you tell me who you think should be in the Pro Bowl out of Keenan Allen and Hunter Renfrow. I think it's pretty clear based on the numbers. I really do think the Raiders are a better team than when they first played the Chargers. Yes, we still had John Gruden. Yes, we still had Henry Ruggs. And by the way, when we talk about the obstacles that the Raiders have had this year, it's not just Ruggs and no Waller. It's John Gruden. That's been the biggest obstacle this year so far, just in case people have forgotten. But that first game was pretty suspect. You saw Darren Waller get that really crazy, unsportsmanlike penalty just for spiking the ball after making a big play, something that he's done literally in almost every game of his career when he does make a big play. And you saw them delay the game almost an hour, lightning delay despite having a dome. One key thing is Trayvon Mullen went down in that last game as well against the Chargers, and the Raiders didn't really have a big backup plan like they do now for that Mullen injury. We've seen Faison and Trufant come in, but the Raiders weren't prepared for that to happen in that game. And Trayvon Mullen, despite being the starter going into that game, only played about 6 snaps after being injured, and it allowed Justin Herbert to have an advantage over the Raiders straight up. He's not going to have that advantage this time. We have depth in the secondary. Faison's ready, Trufant's ready, Nate Hobbs is going to play, Casey Hayward as well, and it's not going to be easy. And let me just bring it back to the other side of the ball. The Chargers' defense is not that impressive, even as of late. Week 17 against the Broncos, they only generated 7 pressures. Do you know how pissed Raiders fans would be if we only generated 7 pressures? And Week 16 against the Texans, yes, the shit-ass Texans, they only generated 3 pressures. Did better in Week 15 and Week 14, obviously, but still, 10 pressures over the past 2 weeks, that's not going to bode well if you're playing Derek Carr. If Derek Carr has time to throw, he could carve you up. I'm sorry, Carr haters who are also Raiders fans who don't want to admit that too. When he has time, he will carve people up. I really do think this is a big game for Derek Carr, and we could talk about the stats and all that stuff, and I go through stuff like that a lot, but there's really no point. I mean, the numbers are what they are. You can look it up if you want. Just a basic summary. Look, Derek Carr has more big-time throws than Justin Herbert, more dropbacks, more yardage, but Herbert has more touchdowns. And who knows, it could be based on having really good weapons, or you could say he's the better quarterback. We'll see this Sunday. And that's why Derek Carr is the key to this game, because no matter what, no matter what's around him, what's going on, it's a must-win game to get into the playoffs. And if he can pull this off, it will shut so many people up. And if he doesn't pull this off, it will always leave a window of opportunity to still criticize Derek Carr, to still invalidate him as being the franchise quarterback of the Raiders or of any team. I know it's not fair because I truly believe he hasn't had the supporting cast as many QBs like Justin Herbert has had. But I still think, for the most part, people just want to care about the end result, and that's fair enough. And that's why when it's do or die like this, what kind of Derek Carr are we going to see? Who knows? It's all about the outcome. And so I just really am rooting for Derek Carr super hard because I think he, not only does he deserve this opportunity, and it's been rare that he's been placed in this position to have this opportunity to just win one game. And then he gets in. Like, he hasn't really had that in his career. In 2016, yes, he made it to the playoffs, but he was injured, so he didn't have that opportunity, that do-or-die situation. He was sort of comfortable, already knew he was in the playoffs right when he got injured against the Colts in 2016. And every year for the Raiders, they've been knocked out after going like 6-4, 6-5. They've been knocked out of playoff contention before the last week of the season. So, I just think this is a huge opportunity for him. I'm just going to root for him regardless, and I'm fully confident that he can outplay Justin Herbert. Derek Carr outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice last year in 2020, and he outplayed Justin Herbert once in 2020 as well. This past year, like I mentioned, in Week 5 when the Raiders played the Chargers, the offense did not look great. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I know there were some sketchy things that went on, but still, offense still didn't look that good. But I think as of late, even if Derek Carr and the Raiders offense haven't been putting up the numbers that they want, we've seen a lot of criticism come from different people about the production they've had. They've still been clutch. When it's mattered the most, they've been able to score. They've been able to get into field goal range. They've been able to convert third downs, convert fourth downs. To me, I'll take clutch over yardage and points any day, because when it comes to playoffs, Doesn't matter how many points you scored, how many yards, your stats, all this stuff. It just matters if you win the game. And the way you win the game is crazy critical situations, being able to handle the pressure, handle the noise. And in my opinion, Justin Herbert, he's still just a rookie to me. I mean, you played last year, 2020, during a pandemic year when there was really no crowd. I think in Vegas, with the noise, with the home field advantage, I don't think he's going to be able to handle the pressure. Not only the pressure from the crowd, but the pressure from this defensive line, which I don't think he's faced anything like this in some time. I think they've had it pretty easy the past 6 weeks in terms of pass rush. So let's hope the Raiders get after them, and I'm sure they will. My name is Wi-Fi Willie. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like this video if you watched it all the way through, and remember, subscribe to this channel to get more updates on the Raiders, more news and videos like this. Hope you enjoyed it, man. Have a good one. Go Raiders. We're gonna get this dub, don't worry. We're gonna be in the playoffs for the first time since 2016 and over half a decade. We will get there. Shout out to y'all. Peace.